we are now going to talk about AAR. So I'm going to launch for the tanker, which you can see being pointed to on my mission compass at the top of the screen there. Going to full military power and launching. So we have our tanker in sight. I've just deployed my air brakes and I'm now slowing down to meet that aircraft. We're going to move into the pre-contact position, so it's going to be about 0.5, and I'm just moving off the side of his wing there. Oh, and he's going to turn just to make life interesting. Okay, and match his airspeed as best I can. And we can tell that by aircraft getting further away or coming towards us. So at the moment he seems like he's getting a bit further away, so I'm just going to increase my airspeed now to about 260 knots. Lose that mission compass, don't need that being there anymore. Now's a good idea to try and find out where 250, 260 knots is naturally on your throttle control. Using X52, that gives me quite a distance to pull forward and push back on, so I can get that quite right. With the smaller joysticks, with the smaller throttle inputs, you might find that a little bit more difficult. Okay, so we're about 246 at the moment. Looks like he's coming towards me a little bit, but we will call pre-contact, so decast to tanker pre-contact, going full probe out. Always helps to put your speed brake back in. Good. Okay, so we've got 268. Check the panel here. Make sure everything's good, no speed brake out, everything's looking fine, not giving us too much drag. And now we can start closing into position to try and get some fuel from the fat bomb girl in front of us. There's some great music that's been added into this to make you giggle and try and put you off, put you under a little bit of stress while you're doing this, guys. Okay. You can see now I'm just creeping that airspeed off as I get slower closer to the basket. Don't want to bleed it off too much, so I'm still moving towards it, but I don't want to be hurtling towards it, otherwise you're going to find yourself in trouble pretty darn quickly. The important thing here is make sure you're on your trim. And as you can see, we're coming up to the fuel probe now, and I want to try and get it into the basket. It's very hard to keep it in the basket because obviously in real world they will attach and move slightly with it. That doesn't happen in FSX, and we can't make it happen, so you may find yourself just slipping through the windscreen with it a tad, but just try and keep it nice and gentle as you approach. And when you get to about this point,
I pity the fool goes home crying to his mama.
You're going to get some funny music just to put you off course.
I'll give it a try.
No. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. So today we are going to have a quick look at the new mission for FSX that actually allows proper in-flight refueling with a drogue that you've got to try and quite precisely get in now. A few little prerequisites before we start. One of those being that the basket, as unlike real world, the basket is not going to attach and give you a little bit of leeway. So at some point in this video, I dare say, I am going to go, the fuel probe will go through the windscreen, okay? Give a little bit up for that, gentlemen, and we have in the mission, just because that would move naturally with you a little bit in real world. However, this still does require some precise flying. Now, as you can see in the top left, that's how I found my way to the tanker. I know that he's at 15,000 feet, and I'm closing quite rapidly to him now, so I'm going to deploy my air brake. And you'll notice as we deploy the air brake, we naturally want to pitch up, so just get on top of that. And I'm bringing the speed back. And the air brake's gone in now, so we're a little bit slower. But what I am going to do is I'm going to pitch this aircraft to fly about 247 knots, as I know the carrier's doing about the fat bottom girl's doing about 247 in this wind. So now I'm behind the aircraft, 0.2. I'm now going to put my fuel probe out. And we can see the graphic of the fuel probe come out at the front of the cockpit there. And just to make this an interesting video, she's in the turn, so this should be quite good fun. We'll get rid of this mission pointer. Now you'll notice I've left the red writing up just so you can see 40% fuel, so you can see when you're actually getting fuel. So I'm now trying to match the bank angle and just gently bringing her forward now so that I know that I'm going to get on the basket. What I'm looking for here is as the aircraft starts getting closer and closer, I start slowing down well before the basket, just so that I can get a feel for its precise speed, so that I know what I'm matching. It's also a really good idea here, guys, to make sure that you are speed braking and trimmed. If you're not trimmed correctly, you'll find this incredibly challenging, okay? But as we can see there, 248 knots. If I go back to 245, she's getting away from me. So I'm just going to increase the airspeed a little bit. And it's quite quick movements to increase and decrease the airspeed here, but you've got to keep on it and ahead of the curve. So I know I'm going too fast now, power back and then power back to the setting that's roughly 247 knots, okay? Sight picture starts looking like that, it's starting to get away from us and I'm going low. I'm just checking my pitch bar now to make sure where I am on the pitch bar. And then there's the nozzle. Whoop, shot going up, very easily done. Okay, so there, all I'm going to do now, if I start noticing that airspeed is creeping ahead and I'm losing it, I'm just going to pull back on that to about 1/4 to 2, and that aircraft will start to overtake me, and then I come back onto it very gently. So we can see I'm a little low and a little slow, so I'm just adjusting for that now. Very little movements, alright? Very tiny little movements, guys, is what we're looking for here. You see there, 247 is pretty bang on. Just easing my way up to the basket. And once I get there, receiving fuel, and we'll start seeing the fuel count go up as I get on that probe there. Now, there is a tendency here, guys, alright, to start freaking yourselves out and throwing yourself all over the screen. As you can see from the movements, and you can see their off fuel's gone up 90%. As you can see from the movements that I'm doing there, they're very, very gentle movements. If you start fighting her, she's going to go all over the place. And I want to demonstrate some of the things that you will see if you start doing that, okay? So let's just get this last bit of fuel. Low, so I'm just going to keep the air, I'm going to lower it so the wing doesn't smack me in the head, and take a little bit of power off, and then apply that power and go up again to get back on the basket. You notice how very, very tiny the inputs are here to get it right, okay? And we should be able to get on that basket just bang on there. Just enough for us to get the last bit of fuel in. There we go. Okay, 98%. So, let's have a look at some of the mistakes that people make and where they could be finding it quite difficult. So, one thing that we have noticed when we're watching this, we put a view into it so we can actually see the camera, is this kind of stuff happening. So, you've gone and you're winging past it, you don't know what to do, you start panicking, you flip off to the side, and before you know it, you've lost all reference to that aircraft. So, now I need to get a visual reference for that aircraft and look how quickly and how far away we can get out here. So, to get back on that aircraft now, it's going to take us a little bit of time, which is more fuel we're burning, which means that the guys that are waiting in the background there are going to have real problems if we've all come up on 17%, okay? It's going to cause us a massive problem. So you really do need to try and get reasonably quickly back in and on. But if you're doing movements like I am now, and I'm trying to show you the bad way here, guys, if you're doing movements like that, look how far my airspeed's now gone down, okay? And so now I've got to increase that airspeed to get that back up, and look how far that carrier's gone. Where actually, all I needed to do was as follows. Would have been a very gentle move away when I'd made a mistake, and let the aircraft just naturally overfly me. Maybe go a bit lower, so we're not going to endanger either aircraft. Another thing we've seen is people coming in not only too fast, but also very slowly. So, for instance, it's quite acceptable here to be 50 knots above the airspeed, and as I'm closing, I'm just bringing that down. So it's just gone to 300 knots there. So now I'm bringing that back as I'm coming up to the aircraft. Yep. So we're at 85, 82. So we know we're going quite fast there to meet it. So I'm taking the power off completely now until 65, 62. Okay, I know it's doing about 4.7, so that's quite a nice little approach speed there to get back on that basket. Alright, and then we're just gently moving it in. Again, what we tend to see a lot of is you're getting to this position, the silly music starts playing, and you lose it completely. There seems to be a lot of people trying to fight the airspeed quite massively as well. So for instance here, we know we're on, all I need is very gentle movements to bring that in. But you're overshooting because you're compensating too much. Okay, so we start seeing this kind of stuff going on, alright, where the airspeed's falling really gently, falling all the way back there, knots, and then to compensate for that I stick the afterburner on, and then I'm too high and I'm flailing all over the place. So we've really got to get a grip of the aircraft if you're in that position. Okay, it's going to turn now. Get a grip of the aircraft in that position, note the speeds, and don't fight it too much, otherwise you're going to get yourself in trouble. Alright? But it's very easy to get yourself into bother by overdoing it and not... what am I trying to explain? You will find yourself bobbing around like that very easily if what you're doing is pulling full throttle on and then pushing full throttle off. It's got to be little tiny movements to get that right, okay? And you start getting this effect where you don't know whether you're going up or down, and it's all very horrible. Just stabilise the aircraft behind, yep, like so. We've got a nice stable there, and now we want to be moving back in with just a little bit of impact. See there, that 147, 148 is quite a nice little sweet spot, so I'm up to 250 there, so I know I'm going forward still, but I don't want to be going much faster than that when I'm in that position. Okay, you really are mucking around with a couple of knots. Again, look what happens now. If I start putting the throttle on and it starts raising very quickly, I can get myself in trouble, because the basket comes up very quickly, yeah, and I'm only doing 251 knots there. But now I've got to pull my power off, and if I don't put my power back on after I've pulled my power off, I am going to start losing that airspeed very rapidly, and then it's a game of backwards and forwards. You know, there you go. So we put the power on, we pull the power off, and already we're too fast past the aircraft and the basket to refuel. So again, slow it down, get the right height, and you can slide in into position and nudge forward very gently. There we are. A little bit high. We can get back on that basket. Okay, good. So the tiniest of movements, tiniest of airspeed changes, we'll keep that there. Alright, and then you can get a nice, very nice refuel without too many problems at all. You can just keep it nicely centred. As I say, the basket does tend to come through the window just a little bit. Get your fuel, and then ease back on the speed, just to, you know, I'm going 241 knots there. Push myself just out to his left wing, and I can stay there, you know, quite happily, 247 knots, and take the mickey out of everybody else who can't refuel. Alright, and we can sit there all day long, almost in a pre-contact position, and keep an eye on people that are refueling up with us. So, you can see it is quite challenging, gentlemen, but it is good fun, and it will take a little bit of mastering, but I have faith in you all. I know you can do it. Please do practice. Thursday night will be our 3 trap wires and an AAR night to qualify you as a fair weather carrier and AAR pilot. Good luck with that, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care, everyone.